In this video, I am going to explain anatomy of gluteus medius. I am going to explain its location, origin and insertion, and its function. You see red, blue and yellow color tapes. This means the different fiber of gluteus medius. I will explain why these are so important. But first thing first, I'm going to explain origin of gluteus medius. Gluteus medius is very wide muscle. It starts from below iliac crest. Iliac crest is this bony ridge. It originates from below the iliac crest. So it's like a fan-shaped muscle. This is origin. And insertion is here. This is greater trochanter of femur. I will flip the model so you don't see the tape. This is greater trochanter. Gluteus medius attaches here. Greater trochanter. So it's like a fan shape again. So this is origin and insertion. Very simple. Now I'm going to explain function of gluteus medius. General function of this muscle is abduction. Abduction is open up leg this way. This model doesn't move for that movement, so imagine it's this movement. See this tape slack as I move for abduction. This slack means the contraction in reality. When muscle contracts, it gets shortened. So in this case, this slack means contraction. So general function, abduction. Now what is the function of red one? This is anterior fiber of gluteus medius. Imagine there is a midline here. Anterior fiber is anterior from midline. So what happens if anterior fiber pulls femur this way? This way, what's going to happen? It makes flexion. Bring femur forward. This is flexion movement. See, this tape slacks. That means contraction. Flexion, because this pulls femur this way. And if you see this angle, if this anterior fiber pulls this way, it also makes internal rotation. Pulls femur this way, internal rotation. So flexion and internal rotation. Of course, this fiber does abduction as well, but that's general function. These all three fibers do abduction. This is specific movement for anterior fiber. But what if femur doesn't move? Femur doesn't flexion. What happens for pelvis? If femur gets fixed, then anterior fiber pulls pelvis this way, this direction. What's going to happen? It makes this movement, this movement. This is anterior tilt of pelvis because femur doesn't move, pelvis moves. This anterior tilt is by anterior fiber. So three movements: flexion, internal rotation, and anterior tilt. So this is very important. This blue one is middle fiber of gluteus medius. Since this is on the middle part of the pelvis, it doesn't affect a lot for flexion or extension. See, this blue tape doesn't move a lot compared to these two parts. So maybe this does slight rotation or flexion extension. However, main function is abduction. Why? Because it's on the middle part. Easy, right? Let's go to this yellow one. This is posterior fiber. This is posterior from midline. So what happens if posterior fiber pulls femur this way? This way, it makes extension. See? Extension plus external rotation. It pulls femur this way. External rotation. Then what happens when femur is not moving? It makes pelvis. It pulls pelvis this way. So posterior tilt. This is posterior tilt. Again, extension, external rotation, and posterior tilt. Okay, so anterior fiber does flexion, internal rotation, anterior tilt, middle fiber, abduction, posterior fiber, extension, external rotation, and posterior tilt. This muscle does so many movements for hip joint and pelvis. I think gluteus medius does almost every movement except adduction. Adduction is closing leg movement. I think this muscle does everything except adduction. So that sounds very important. If gluteus medius gets tight, it can inhibit hip movement, hip stability, pelvic movement, and pelvic stability. This guy is freaking important. So if you liked today's video, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you next video.